put your name on the back, but you represent the team on the front. The fact that I had the potential chance of doing something with the NFL and with what I love, I'm like, you know what, it's not too late. Let me really kind of dive into this.
Is there any part of your mind like, hey, I'm going to make the NFL?
The more something sucks, the more you remember it. Late in the day, it's okay, this might not happen. Okay, what's going to happen? Agents calling me, what different teams calling, where would you want to go? And then Baltimore calls like, hey, how'd you be Raven?
Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer, powered by AgAmerica Media. I'm really excited about today's guest, Zach Sieler with the Miami Dolphins. We're used to watching him kick ass on the football field, but now it's time to talk about what happens off the field. He owns and operates a hunting property here in Florida. We can officially call him a Florida man now. I'm excited for him to share these stories. New episodes drop on Like a Farmer every Wednesday. Continue to listen to us on YouTube or wherever you get your audio podcast. Let's get into it. Zach Sieler. Zach, thanks for coming on the show today,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. Super exciting. Glad to be here and sit and talk with you guys.
And look, I think now we can officially call you a Florida man because not only are you kicking ass for the Dolphins, but I just want to jump right into, is it Clay goalie?
Yeah.
So explain, how did that even come about? And
Yeah. So that actually, we did just shut that down. We had the lease for 5 years.
Okay.
I can't believe how fast it went by. Time just flies through. But from that, we got a foundation and kind of learned. That's a whole different thing. But how Clay Gully came apart was my family, my grandparents have had a spot in Sebring, Florida since the late 90s. And so for, growing up from Michigan, we would take 75 South right to Sebring. And that was our vacations in the winter. Stay with my grandma and grandpa, a week or two, Christmas break, and just do that. And then I want to say late college, we had some time after the season was over. D2, the seasons don't go as long as D1. There's no bowls or anything like that. We're done before Christmas. We'd come down and just enjoy Florida, because Michigan's cold in the winter, right? You want to get out for a week or two. And we started hunting and kind of got into like Florida hunting in January, duck, hog, and all that. Met some people, and then through them, we met a landowner out here that was willing to do a lease with us for a 5-year agreement. And we leased a 5,000 acre cattle farm. So we started running Osceola hunts, deer, turkey, gator, everything, duck, everything in between you could think of for Florida. And total blessing. It was awesome to experience, learned a ton. And from that, my wife and I found what we want to do post-ball with our foundation and kind of blossomed into something like that. So it's really been exciting and awesome to see that grow.
And I'm excited to talk about the foundation. But I want to back up because it's super cool, Zach, when you think about, you're from Michigan.
Yep.
And where does this passion for you wanting to be outdoors come from? Where did you... because it seems like, you had a family property back home in Michigan to seem like you spent a lot of time on. But, it's like anytime, and I'm living vicariously through your social media. If you're not on the football field, you love being outdoors and doing that type of activity. Where does that passion come from?
Man, so we're from a small town, almost I guess you could somewhat call it a suburb of Detroit, Ann Arbor, Lansing, about an hour from each one of those. Dad and my whole family worked in the auto industry in Detroit. Ford, Chrysler, GM, all of them. And my parents were from Monroe, Michigan. They moved to Pinckney, where my hometown is, on a little half-acre piece. And then when I was 8 or 9, I think, they bought a 30-acre plot of land 10 minutes away. So growing up, we'd go out there, work with my dad, clear some trees, kind of start building a cabin and whatnot. And eventually we ended up doing a barn out there, which a lot of people actually saw in the Hard Knocks, which is cool to kind of see that come full circle. But we just were out there all the time. Geese, deer, all that stuff, ducks on the pond out back. And we loved going out there. I remember my friends and I would go out there on a random Friday. We'd go play paintball, just start shooting each other. We'd run around with our four-wheelers, motorcycles. We just enjoyed doing that stuff. And that kind of where it really sprouted from. And then just kind of kept growing from there. So it's been a really cool to grow up like that, and that's how I want to raise my son too. I
love that, and I think it speaks volume. And I've had people like Parker McCollum come on this show, and he's like, I was raised a certain way, and we're
Yep.
calling it the rural America lifestyle. And that's just, being outdoors, trying to get away from the video games and
Yep.
spending more time outside and,
Yeah.
shaking a man's hand and looking him in the eye and
Yep.
opening a door from a woman. There's like a lifestyle to that, and it seems like men and women who grow up in that, they want to pass that for generations to come. I mean, you just mentioned it. You want to raise your son that way.
Absolutely. My wife's from a very similar situation just in Missouri. They're about a half hour, 45 minutes from Springfield, small town, farming community, everything like that. And so it's kind of cool. I mean, we met when I was in Baltimore, not even anywhere near either one of our hometowns, but the fact that she had that same kind of upbringing and that she was so adamant on the same things, where she wanted him to be athletic but outdoors. And it's been awesome. It's just so cool to her and I growing together, and just as we raise this child now and just seeing like, hey, yeah, we want to try to either homeschool or get him out as much as we can, get him running around off the screens, just doing whatever. So it's it's definitely wanting to pass that down from generation to generation and keep that passion for the outdoors there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when did football come into your life?
Man,
It had to be
second grade.
second grade.
Whenever you could start in Michigan, whatever that was. Instructional football, it was not tackle, but it wasn't flag. I can't remember how it was. They split the fields 50-50, you played, and then whatever. My dad coached me most of my life. That was a big blessing to have his guidance and leadership there. And he was such a role model for me early on. And then I played football all the way till senior year of high school. Didn't get small town. We really didn't have a big football program, which you'd think is kind of a small town staple pin. So we really didn't have a lot. I didn't have any offers coming out of college or high school, and ended up walking on a little D2 in northern Michigan, where kind of just found my way and just always had that love for football in the NFL, and then kind of being able to make that passion become a reality up there at Ferris was a real blessing.
And you have a great path to where you are today, and I'm excited to dig into that. But
Yeah.
So you're outside of Ann Arbor,
Yep.
and you mentioned these. Look, Josh Allen and I started this show because we truly believe rural America isn't just a place; it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you growing up in this small community, and it might not be a farming community, but
Yeah.
you know what it is? It's a blue collar community,
Yeah,
right? I
yes.
mean, the auto industry and the farming
Yeah.
industry, they have these same type of aroma when you think about the people that come from it. It's just blue collar, hard, get her done, 24/7 Monday through Sunday type of people. And
Yeah.
so you grow in that type of community, but you're outside of Ann Arbor. I mean, was Michigan like maybe in your eyesight at all, like
Man,
where you wanted to go play? Or?
I always enjoyed. I mean, I didn't watch Michigan State a ton growing up. I just didn't. I was outdoors, like really. I always loved watching the NFL, like football. I wouldn't say I was like a diehard growing up, where I had every jersey ever and everything. Maybe I went to 2 or 3 games growing up for the Detroit, but other than that, we really loved running around doing stuff. And I mean, I did sports year round. Football, wrestling, shot put and disc, stuff like that in high school, and I just really kind of always had that passion there. So yeah.
And you get done playing high school ball, you get 0 offers.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those Ferris States there, and you feel like you could walk on.
My parents had a hunting cabin up there, or my family did. So I had relations with up there. I knew it. It was a small town. The town wouldn't really be there without the school being there. I think we had Walmart, Meijer, and that was about it. There was no airport. There was no nothing. I mean, it was a small town, about 2.5 hours from home. So I was far enough away where I was still like kind of going away to college, but I wasn't in my backyard. Michigan was too expensive. Michigan State was too expensive. I mean, it was the recession, what do they call that? 09, 10. Yeah.
07, 08. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it killed our hometown. I mean, it's auto industry. Like that was the heart and blood of our hometown. It killed it, and everyone was feeling that struggle. So going to college in 2013, I didn't want to go into loads of debt going into school, and I was able to get some tuition assistance and scholarship through that, not through football, but just through my schooling. So I'm like, I'm gonna go there for mechanical engineering. That's what I went to Ferris. That's what I went to Ferris for. It wasn't as expensive as the big universities, and it was still, it was an area that was somewhat familiar to me, which was nice. And they would let me walk on and play football there. So I'm like, that's kind of what drove that decision up there.
I love the fact, too, to me, the first thing you said, we had a hunting property up there. So really, you chose the school because you still wanted to hunt while you were playing ball.
Yeah, growing up, so my dad got me, he got me a 85 K5 Blazer, old military K5 Blazer, when I was 15, whatever, when I could first drive. I fixed that up. I put 6-inch lift, 37s on it. The typical stuff from a small town, right?
Dude,
we had I know, right? We had a mud pit in that 30 acres. We had like a little pond where we'd hunt, and we also had a little pit back there. We'd drive through that. I took that to Ferris, and that hunting land we had by there, my family had by there, was a bunch of 2-tracks. So we'd go out there, and I remember we'd go out there my first year or two. We'd go out there, we'd just go camping out there, just sleeping bag and whatever college kids get into, and stay out there overnight, and we loved it. I remember towing our buddy's Bronco back home and stuff like that. It was just a soft strap, and it was a blast. And then as football kind of got bigger for me, because I wasn't traveling as a freshman in college. They didn't travel all the kids. As a walk-on, I wasn't going to go any. They weren't playing me. They weren't traveling me. And for my first 2 years, I didn't do that. So I had some time on the weekends in the fall where we were able to get out and go do that kind of stuff, and it was a blast. But as football grew in college, our football season's in the fall. That's part of being outdoors in Michigan and enjoying hunting and everything. So that kind of took a back seat. And then it was cool to see that transition in college where I was able to kind of grow from the small town to really kind of, and like a small program, to really kind of becoming a big name at my college for football and kind of developing as an athlete. So
I love that. I tell you, the favorite part about what I do is the storytelling aspect. Like, rural America is everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in Michigan or Florida where we are today. Or I was just talking to one of my production guys. He bought a cabin in New York, right? I mean, when you think about New York, you think about the concrete jungle and the city and the Macy's Thanksgiving parade.
Yeah.
There's a great hunt up in New York.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see the all walks of life of where they're coming in these small rural American communities. So you're at Ferris State, and you don't have any offers. And coming out of high school, you go to Ferris State. Is there any part of your mind like, hey, I'm going to make the NFL?
I always thought in my head, I'm going to do everything I could to make the NFL. I'm a realist. You can ask any of the guys I play with, anyone that I'm with, I try to see things in its realist light. Doesn't mean I have goals for everything, and I'm going to try to hit those goals no matter what, but I kind of know where I'm at. I think my going out of my third year into my fourth year of college, I had a mechanical, well-tech engineering job at Chrysler. And I was doing 60, 70 hours a week at Chrysler, and I kind of saw myself like, dang, this is going to be my real life job. That's what I'm going to school for. I loved automotive and all that stuff, and it was brutal. I think over the 12-week internship, I had 4 days off, and I was doing 70-plus hours. And that's where I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can to kind of really kind of dive in and see if I can really make this NFL stretch happen. At that point, I had 3 seasons at Ferris, only played one of those seasons. I had kind of just a backup role. And then that 4th season when I was there, that's when I had that breakout year, you call it. I think I had 19 and a half sacks in one season, tons of TFLs and tons of stuff. And I will say that was a huge driving factor for me was, man, this is what real life might be like after football. And that's great. That's blue collar. That's how I grew up. And I was fine with doing that. But the fact that I had the potential chance of doing something with the NFL and with what I loved, playing football and being competitive like that, was such a cool piece where I'm like, you know what, it's not too late. Let me really kind of dive into this. And that's when I really kind of took that next step in college. And it was really cool to be able to do that.
And now you've put Ferris State. I mean, it's like a family tradition now, right? Your younger brother, is he playing ball there too?
No, he just graduated last year, so a year and a half ago.
But he played ball there.
He did. He was there for 5 years, 6 years because of COVID year. He was up there, and then, my whole family's been up there. They're up there all the time still, so, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
They still have the land, yeah.
So you have you have one breakout year, and in your mind, it's like, okay, I think we have something here.
Yeah.
The draft, you're leading up to draft day.
Yep.
Baltimore picks you. So, explain that day. Like, it's draft day. You may or may not be getting drafted,
Yep.
right? I mean, it wasn't a guarantee.
No, yeah, no. Those late rounds. I mean, anything past 5th, it's kind of like, depending how the draft goes, you could maybe go 6, you could go undrafted. Like, it's so up in the air. And you're getting calls about, before the 7th round started, I started getting calls about, hey, look, would you guys, me and my agent, he's like, hey, would you sign here if we don't pick you in the 7th? It's like, well, look, the 7th's not even over yet, and y'all still have picks. Yeah. Like, let's make something happen. And Baltimore pulled the trigger, and I did 2 years there. And the draft day was crazy because I guess, and I'm sure Steve Rinella, Meat Eater, he said something in one of his hunting shows, which was so cool. And it really rung home with me one time was, the more something sucks, the more you remember it. And the closer you get to it. And the people around you in those moments. And Ferris sucked. I loved every moment of it, but it was tough. It was a grind. My freshman year, the other walk-on guys, we had a new locker room. We didn't travel. They had us pulling lockers out of the locker room, these old metal lockers, for 10 hours in one of our Saturdays in college. And it was a grind. I mean, the weight room wasn't no bigger than this room here. I mean, it was 3-4 squat racks, 2 bench presses, and that was it. Trying to fit a whole team in there, and actually all the sports teams for Ferris trained there. Broken plates, bent bars, and everything like that. And those are some of my best friends to this day still. And so the draft day came, and we knew Thursday, Friday wasn't going to be anything. It was just late round or nothing. And we told our family, they all wanted to come out. Because, when you're from a small town, family's everything. And my aunts, uncles, whoever. Yeah, and they came, and everyone were like, look, I might not get picked. If you want to come, we'll do a little thing at the house, just have some finger foods, whatever, Swedish meatballs, typical Midwest snacks, chicken buffalo dip, whatever from the crock pot, and we'll just see what happens. And I think we ended up having like 40 people at the house. It was meant to be like 5-10 people, immediate family. And I told some of my college buddies, and they drove from all over Michigan, 4 or 5 hours away, probably 20 of them. And so yeah, when that 7th round and Ozzie Newsome made the call, and I actually got to the point where I was upstairs. I couldn't sit by anybody. I was up by myself, and I just was sitting up there with my mom. My mom and dad were kind of in and out of the room, and Ozzie called, and hey, how would you like to be a Raven? And I was shell shocked. I didn't know. At that point, you're kind of sitting there. You've been waiting the whole day. Late in the day, it's like, okay, this might not happen. Okay, what's going to happen? Agents calling, we got different teams calling. Where would you want to go? They've got this defense playing here. These players are here. And then Baltimore calls, like, hey, look, would you want to? You're going to become a Raven. It was surreal. It was such a cool thing. I mean, coming from a walk-on where no one's ever been drafted from Ferris, just kind of, it was really cool. So. And
then.
Yeah.
After 2 years of Baltimore.
Yep.
You come to 305, the Sunshine State.
Yes, sir.
But before we talk about Miami, I want to play a game.
Okay,
it's called Rapid Fire.
Yep.
This game's presented by AgAmerica. AgAmerica, the presenting sponsor of the show. Love those guys. So I'm going to say 3 questions, rapid fire, and just first thing you come to your mind, just go for it. Dream hunting trip, where would it be? What are you killing?
Man, can I answer this in a few ways?
Absolutely.
All right. We've done both our dream hunting trips. We've been blessed enough to do both dream hunting trips. And now it's kind of grown even more. We did South Africa for our honeymoon, my wife and I. We did New Zealand before our baby was born. And I think we want to go back. I want to do Zimbabwe, Botswana, and kind of go out into where there's no fencing, free range, 100% free range with a bow and arrow. Plains game, simple stuff like that, but just really get an experience for what old Africa was like. And then once football's over, I could hopefully do something out west, because obviously their rut is in the March, April timeframe because they're Southern Hemisphere. So, and then once I'm done with ball, I can do elk, moose, caribou, whatever out west.
I love that. And your wife, remind me of her name again?
Hannah.
Hannah. Yeah. So shout out Hannah, number one, because I think Zach, and guys out there, I think Zach found the trick of the trade is find you a girl that likes to hunt too.
She didn't like to hunt. She never hunted before.
So you basically...
So she's from a small town, but she was athletics was her life. She loved basketball. She played at Alabama. She went overseas to Greece, Iceland, and that's all fall. I mean, she's playing basketball year round with travel and everything, so she wasn't outdoors much. But small town, she was around that all the time, and it was so incredible. Like you said, shout out to Hannah, where she was so willing to try anything. We did range days down at Homestead here, just trying to see if she liked it. She liked shooting everything, and then Africa was her first big hunting trip ever. So kind of threw her into the fire there, but I still owe her another honeymoon though, because ended up doing 10 days over there. I think we hunted 12 hours a day.
For the honeymoon?
Yes. And it was a 12-day trip. So I think I owe her, because I didn't plan it. One of those things we didn't know what we were getting into. It was our first big trip as a couple. Let's do Africa for a honeymoon. She wanted to go see lions and all that stuff, and we did. And we did Zim for 4 days at Vic Falls, and we're just on an open cab Jeep chassis. Come around the corner, there's a pride of lions laying in the street. One of the coolest things ever. Just wide open. That was so cool about Zim, which kind of drove me wanting to go back over there. There's not really fences. So you're driving around Victoria Falls, which is a bigger city for them. That's one of the 7 wonders of the world. And you slam on the brakes, there's a bull elephant running across the street. Like, come on. It was so cool. But
can't make that
she
up.
didn't get to do the beaches and all that stuff in Cape Town. So we'd love to go back and do that one day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Shout out Hannah. Golly.
The trooper.
Hey y'all, it's Pat, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite companies in the world, AgAmerica. AgAmerica is your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, AgAmerica is changing the game of ag lending and leveling up financing options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners all across the nation. And I'll let you in on a little secret. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest is the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on farms themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for not only yourself, but for your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, AgAmerica has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because don't ever forget, when farmers thrive, we all do. We'd like to take a minute to talk about Blue Otter sunglasses. Blue Otter sunglasses are the shades of choice for country superstars like Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Riley Green, and Hardy. With Carl Zeiss scratch-resistant lenses, Blue Otter has partnered with AgAmerica to create the Like a Farmer frames, which benefit farmers and ranchers in rural communities. 10% of each purchase of the Like a Farmer Blue Otter sunglasses goes to AgAmerica Giving. Go to blueotterpolarized.com and search Like a Farmer. You can also go to likeafarmer.com and click on merch. All right, and this is why I love the game, because it just branches out into many different things. All right, Next question. Hardest place to play in the NFL?
Hardest place. Arrowhead's loud. And it was cold last year. That was tough.
Dude, that playoff game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an incredible. Being from Michigan, and we played at Michigan Tech, which is, I don't know how many people are going to watch this, but we were up in the northern Keweenaw Peninsula of the UP. We'd go there every year or two. It'd be 10 degrees, 3 feet of snow. That Kansas City game blew that out of the water. That was the coldest I've been. That was tough. But you take the elements out of it, just standard, just hardest place to play. I'd put Kansas City, and Seattle gets loud. Seattle's pretty loud too.
I feel like I've asked that to 3 or 4 of the players that have been on here, and Seattle's always up there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got it figured out, especially the fan base.
Yeah.
Best restaurant in Miami?
All right. Totally not cliche, but there's a little Irish pub just north of us. Great food, home style. I mean, you feel like you're going to Ireland or Scotland. The Fields Irish pub.
The Fields.
Yeah, okay. It is sweet. Cottage pie, the shepherd's pie, and the chicken pot pie, out of this world. Yeah.
And you knew that like that. I mean, you feel pretty strong
I love that spot. I love that's a good little spot right there. A little dive. Yeah, trivia nights we've gone to a couple times on Tuesdays. It's a good time.
You winning those trivia nights? Or?
No. There's some people are pretty good.
Yeah, people live by that.
They do.
Love that game. All right, so let's talk about Miami.
Yep.
So, and we've been talking about how you grew up, the lifestyle that you come from, the blue-collar work ethic.
Yep.
Quote from Coach McDaniels.
Yep.
This guy is what any NFL player should be, and that is a guy that has earned every single dollar that he has been given. Because congrats on you secured the bag not too long ago, maybe a year ago now.
Yep.
And he's spot on, even after talking to you for only 30, 35 minutes. Like, you have earned every dollar that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
So you come to Miami. Like, how do you feel leaving Baltimore? Because you didn't play a true game snap in Baltimore, correct?
I did.
Okay.
My rookie year, I had 3 games, 17 snaps.
Okay.
My second year, I was cut after camp, cleared waivers, no one picked me up, signed practice squad. 4 or 5 weeks later, I was bumped up to the 53 in Baltimore. I was on the 53 for most of the rest of that season, and I think there's 4 weeks left. It was a Friday before that fourth to last game when I got cut the second time, and that's when Miami picked me up. But yeah, I mean, I maybe had, let's say, 30 snaps in Baltimore, 30, 40 snaps in 2 years.
Correct. So, and then your mindset, same kid coming out of high school that had 0 offered. I mean, how do you build up motivation and work ethic to come to Miami and kind of earn your spot?
I think it's I don't know how much some people don't understand what the waivers are like with the NFL. I mean, I was cut Thursday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, leaving work. That's just how it goes. Waivers cleared. That's how it is. It's fact of the matter. It's life. I think I was on a flight that night at 9 o'clock at night, Thursday night. Show up in Miami, 11 o'clock at night, 6 a.m. the next day, Friday morning. You go to physicals, meetings, all that stuff. I'm at practice Friday in Miami. So it's kind of a whirlwind. You don't really know what's going on. You're trying to just to find your way at this point. It's like, and that's, I think what the turning point for me was, I didn't know the place in Miami. I've been there for less than a week. I started playing that next week. Cincinnati was my first game, I believe. No, it would have been Giants, Cincinnati, Patriots were the last 3 games that we had. And I'm like, they know I don't know the defense completely. I knew what I could. I mean, I would like to think I'm a smart player, and I try to know everything about anyone that's up front and what's going on. And I'm just like, you know what? Let's just go out there and just play ball. So took some chances, made some big plays, and that kind of gave that shining light to Miami, which was, of course, Flores at the time. Hey, this guy might be useful down the road, or might be able to grow into something. So then signed a 1 year in Miami. Spent that whole next year in Miami, just growing and learning. New DC came in, or was reassigned, but came in, made sure I knew that defense inside and out, and just tried to make sure I knew every opportunity I could on what plays to take chances and take shots, or learn how to make myself fit the scheme as best as possible. And just from there, just kind of kept growing as a player, working on my craft. So yeah, and then just Miami's given me the opportunity over the years to keep playing, and they re-signed me that November, and then just last year we did another extension. So it's been a big blessing.
You're thriving down here, man. I mean, you're on the field. You've been fantastic.
Yeah.
You're finding stuff to do off the field and making an impact within the community, which is great. I'm excited to talk about. But like when you hear a quote from a McDaniels of this guy's earned every single dollar he's been given because of his work ethic, like how does that make you feel? What are your thoughts on?
Honestly, like it's people talk. You play for the front and the back. Like you play for your name on the back, but you represent the team on the front, and it's true. And like that's kind of how like I've always played for my family. It represents not just me, but my mom and dad, my grandparents, and where we came from and how we got here. We weren't a sports. I mean, my grandma and grandpa came from like Bluegrass, Kentucky, went up to Detroit for the auto industry, grew up there. Mom and dad was there. I think he was one of the first ones to go to college in his family. He wrestled. That was he was good. And so he was
a beast.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you felt passionate about that. Like
he wasn't my coach in wrestling, but he was. But we had a different coach in high school. But I was the biggest kid there. at my class, I guess. He would show up after work, and him and I would wrestle at practice every day for all of high school. And he was Olympic backup. He did he had some accolades in wrestling for sure in the 90s. And so he was the first sports, I guess, person in his family. And then to be doing football and kind of take that even farther just shows just the growth and just the drive and determination that was instilled in me from my family over the years. So, yeah, it means a lot. Yeah.
And you think about playing for that team up front. I mean, the hype around the Dolphins right now is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Defense side of the ball, you lose Wilkins. You feel like we got a good replacement with him right now? Because
it's been great. I mean, Christian's an amazing player. I'll never say anything. He was one of my best friends on the team. His work ethic and drive is incredible.
Y'all had a great yin and yang.
We did. I mean, it's 3-4 years, and he was a rookie when I got there. So him and I kind of not grew up together, but we figured the NFL out together, playing things off each other, talking, and just kind of scheming things. And, it's a big adjustment. But I think with Anthony Weather coming in, with the signings we had, Calais Campbell, and then guys like Deshaun Hand, other guys, Tierra Tart coming down, just in the D-line side. But with Austin Clark, our D-line coach, and just everything we're doing, I think they've done a great job of kind of building the defense up, and it's exciting, man. We got a lot of names in here that are just ready to work and want to play ball. So it's exciting, kind of running off what we had last year. Didn't go as we planned, and to keep working is exciting.
I love it. Finally secured your QB. Feel good about that. So now that's over with. Now it's time to get to work.
Yeah.
You bring in like an OBJ. You've got Waddle. You've got Tyreek. I mean, dude, y'all have some dudes on that offense.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to see it every single day. Can we just go ahead and settle the debate of fastest player out there? It's got to be Reek, right?
So that's something cool we do. There's, you got trackers on your jerseys. And, yeah, Tyreek's crazy fast, but there's guys right there with him. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 guys close in speeds with him every day, breaking 21 miles per hour every single day. It's cool to see both sides of the ball, the speed and the quickness, and just guys flying around every day. And that's what something Coach McDaniel harps on is we're going to be out there. We're going to be working at full speed, and guys are, and it shows.
Yeah.
So it's been really exciting.
If you had to give kind of a prediction for this year for the Dolphins, if I said, hey, give me a 30-second just overview of who the Miami Dolphins are going to be this season.
Man, I think what we want to work on is being a fast and physical team, and at the best of our abilities, just play every game our style of football.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, I mentioned, Blake's been on the show. We both love Blake. I mean, I love having you on the show, and like y'all have so much hype around this team, but when you get to know this team, it's just a bunch of dudes that want to play ball.
Yeah.
That come from all walks of life, and I love it. It's just that grit, hard work lifestyle, man.
Yeah. No, that's what's so cool, and that's what's always I've loved about football too, is you get so many guys from different walks of life that can join and come together where typically they would never do that. Getting to know guys and you're with them more than you're with your family, and these guys become brothers, and you just really the work ethic and just the time put in together, and kind of circling back to camp socks. Like, no one's loving camp every single day, but man, when you're there with those guys and you're going through it, and like you just make some of your best friends out of it. And that's where those teams get that tight-knit bond where you want to play for yourself, but as much as you want to play for yourself, you don't want to let the guy down next to you. So, yeah.
Love the division, too, that you're in.
Oh, yeah. It's a fun division.
You want to talk about hype? I mean, right? Yeah. Obviously, you got my boy 17 in Buffalo.
Yeah. Yep.
And all the drama going around the Bills right now, is Josh overrated, blah, blah, blah. And just the people, I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole. You've got Rodgers coming back with the Jets, and then QB situation in New England. We'll see how that goes. But you can't – I mean, you talk about rivalries within a division. I mean, especially right now with the Bills and Dolphins. Obviously, me, I love that, being a little biased. But I feel good about that division. I mean, it's just fun to watch. It's fun football.
Yeah, it's been awesome to play in this division and just go against some of these guys. I mean – it's a good ball going down, and it's been exciting to play multiple times. I mean, we played the Bills 3 times a year for the last 2-3 years now, I think.
That's true.
So, yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
You've been kicking ass on the field. Keep that up for sure. Off the field, talked a little bit about the foundation.
Yeah.
Just give everybody a rundown on what that foundation is and the goals.
Yeah. So it kind of spurred off of Clay Gully and just kind of being outdoors. We actually had a kid that was a quadriplegic come down. Had a bite plate to shoot his rifle. He came down, did some iguana hunts, some hog hunts with us, and it was such a cool thing to see and be able to give that kid an opportunity to get outdoors, give Waylon an opportunity to get outdoors and go hunting where he typically wouldn't. Like if someone's in that situation, it's tough to be able to get outside, and you can't scout for land or whatever because you're relying on your oxygenator and all these different things. So to be able to give him the opportunity to go hunting kind of spurred Sieler Safe Haven, where we really wanted to be able to get kids outdoors and not just hunting, but just get outside. So we weren't able to get this done with Clay Gully in the 5 years we were there. It happened. I think we opened up 2 years ago, and just with timing and different things, trying to get everything settled, we weren't able to do it out there. We're actually looking at some property in Missouri to kind of get this going, and we want to start doing like youth camps outdoors, where it's an archery class, or it's just going outside and doing horseback riding, or just getting kids off their screens, which is kind of what we talked about earlier. So it's working with the local high schools or middle schools or whatever, Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, and getting kids outdoors. We still want to be able to have it set up to be able to do hunts for kids that can't typically do it, wounded warriors, different projects like that, first responders. We'd love to be able to help that stuff out. So that's kind of what we've spun into and where we see ourselves going. So hopefully we can get all this set up by this October, November, be able to get some at the end of hunting season in for a couple people, and really spin this off into a really cool post-football plan where we can kind of I can dive in and help take people out and just hopefully spark a passion in kids' lives to be outside.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, then I go back to what I'm saying about the storytelling aspect and why I love having different types of people come on the show. I mean, that right there is why you're sitting there today. I mean, your passion, you're doing great on the football field, and that's your career.
Yep.
But when it comes to your passion, and your passion is being outdoors and showing everybody that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to it, but, I mean, why do you feel so strongly about that?
I feel that God's given us this earth to live with it and not against it. And I know progression and everything is needed. Cities are needed, all this stuff's needed, but the pieces of land that we have left that are still there, that are untouched, or that you still have deer and turkey and whatever roaming free, to be able to how to live with that land and manage it and work with it, and teaching that conservation. I mean, hunting's conservation. It's not going out there getting the biggest kill. Like, yeah, everyone loves getting a big buck, right? But it's conservation of the land where, okay, we have this much land left. We got to make sure that there's not deer heavy, it's not turkey heavy, it's not wolf heavy. And being out there and just to be able to get outdoors and do that kind of stuff and teach kids and the next generation, that is so cool, I think. So to be able to use this platform we have with the NFL to build the foundation, to build this property or properties eventually to show this the future, what it is just, it's super cool. So
look, I speak for the team. We want to be involved. So anything we can help with the foundation,
I appreciate
let
that.
us know.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
You mentioned iguanas.
Yeah.
So I have a great team, by the way. Shout out my team. I mean, the research, we've done some research a little bit. I heard that y'all might have a dog that was trained to get the iguanas.
We did, yeah. We had one of our duck dogs. I mean, you go out there. We had to go from, we originally had the old breakover pellet guns. There's no rules on where you can shoot a pellet gun.
Yeah.
So you're able to go down intercoastals or wherever. West Palm was where we usually would go, and you wouldn't be able to finish the day because you'd be so sore from cranking those breakover gun, the pellet guns, trying to pump them up. So we had to go to air tanks. The amount of iguanas that are out there, and it's not. Now that's not. I know you're not eating iguanas, right? And people might say, "Oh, it's just reckless killing." It's not. They're an invasive species. They were never supposed to be here, and they are taking resources from animals that were supposed to be here, that are meant to be here. And that's the same with the hog population in Florida. But you would go out there, you'd fill in almost an entire boat full of iguanas in one day. It's a blast. It is so much fun to go out there.
So this dog was trained to go and fetch it.
He would jump in, get that thing, bring it back to the boat whenever he could.
That.
It was wild, dude. It was a good time. It's just Florida's wild. I know what's the old people always compare Florida and Australia. What's more dangerous?
That's true. And I love how educated you are about, number one, I appreciate you mentioning conservation, but even like animals. I mean, because you're looking like, hey, by the way, somebody's probably going to come attack me because of these iguanas, but this is why.
Yeah.
Appreciate you saying that about the hogs, too.
Yeah.
I mean, these are invasive species that are actually ruining the environment if you actually educate yourself.
How many farmers lose how many hundreds of thousands of acres of crops a year to hog damage?
Boom.
Exactly. The golf courses, yeah, that's what it is. But again, it's the farmers that's their livelihood. Like that's what, and they're trying to work with the land to grow crops for human civilization. A golf course is a fun third party, and I know lots of guys are probably gonna be mad at me for that because they love golfing, right? No one wants to.
But you've got farmers growing turf for the golf course. I mean, it all. At the end of the day, I always like to say this: it all comes back to the farmer.
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Think about the football, man. I mean, football, that comes from a farmer. The grass that you're playing on, even though it seems like they're a little bit of a transition going. Are you a grass guy or a turf guy?
All day grass.
Are you?
Yeah, and that's one thing that Miami's done awesome is the grass they have there is incredible. It's very soft. It's not. It's low impact. Your knees feel good at the facility and at the stadium. I don't know if you were able to watch Hard Knocks last year in Miami.
Yep.
I think it was super cool. We're one of the only teams that has our own sod farm to bring in our own grass for the game days.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Dude, it's crazy. I didn't either until I watched it.
We need to do some content on that. That'd be fantastic.
It's pretty cool. So that's what's cool. I mean, we're kind of spoiled though. We have growing season year round down here in Florida. It'd probably be pretty tough for New York or Minnesota or Wisconsin to do something like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. What's next for Zach Sieler? I mean, you keep on talking about after ball, which I know, I mean, you talk about right now for Zach Sieler. Let's continue to kick ass on the football field. But, like, what's next? I mean, what are your dreams, passions, and stuff you want to accomplish?
Man, our son is 4.5 months old. It's just been so eye-opening having him. It's changed every perspective of life for my wife and I. And right now it's play football as long as I can. I mean, I love it. I love doing it. I still feel great. Body feels good. I'm 7 years in now. So we'll see how long this journey takes us. And then when that's over, call it early mid-30s, I really see ourselves kind of diving into the family, raising our kids, being able to get them outside, as well as coaching them. I want to be able to be there for them. I know if he ever does basketball, his mom's going to be there coaching him every day. And football, I know I'll be there helping him every step of the way. So just being there for the family and growing them, and then helping whatever community we settle down in to be a big factor in that community, to help the local teams coach football, basketball, or like we said with the foundation, be able to get the kids outdoors. So that's kind of where we see ourselves in the future, post-ball, and then just being able to provide for our family, fill our freezers up with our own hunts and our own animals, and go from there.
Dude, I love that, man.
Yeah.
You're a badass.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Man. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hey, blue-collar work ethic. Get the kids off the screen. Go outdoors. Zach Sieler with the Miami Dolphins. That's his message. We appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.